Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us. ABSOL Delicious Eat Well for Better Health. Advocates for Community Wellness, we are so glad that you are here today. And thank you for taking some time to spend with us today. It means a lot to us, and we do appreciate you. All right, so this event will be recorded, so feel free to turn on or off your camera and microphone. And your microphone is muted. If you would like to speak to the group during the session, turn on your mic. And we do encourage you to use the chat box while the speaker is taking unless invited to unmute and engage in the discussion. Thank you. All right, here is our leader, Project Director for Absolute Eat Well for Better Health, Dell Kane. She is the founder and executive director, professional nutritionist specialist, certified, completed. All right. We are so glad. Dell will be joining us later on. She won't be here this morning, but she will be online as soon as she can. And so we're very glad to be and working with this group because it's definitely from her heart. And I'm glad to be a part of it as well. So we'll look forward to seeing Dell shortly. All right. This is a little bit about Advocates for Community Wellness. It is a faith-based, non-denominational, holistic health promotion and nutrition education ministry without walls. We bring wellness programs to you where you live, where you work, where you learn, even when you shop and when you play and worship. We focus on educating and promoting health, nutrition, healthy cooking classes, wellness programs, and teaching the relationship between diet, health, and chronic diseases. All right. All right. And we have a mission. ABSOL Delicious, we do have a mission, Advocates for Community Wellness. And our mission is improving eating habits for healthier lifestyle, increasing longevity and quality of life. And we have goals that we set. We have 3 goals. The first goal is to increase consumption of vegetables, which the doctor talked about, fruits and whole grains. And then to encourage a more nutrient-rich diet plan for better health and to reduce risk factor of chronic diseases and illnesses. And finally, to obtain a healthier weight through consumption of plant-based nutrition. Those are our goals. Advocates for Community Wellness. We always start out, since we are a faith-based, with a biblical reference, and I shall read that. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some of us are doing, but encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. Hebrews 10, verses 24-25, and that is the NIV version. Thank God to the reading of his word. All right, today I am Shirley Mims. I'm in a new chair, and I am your moderator for today. My position with Advocates for Community Wellness is Community Relations and Special Director. All right, we have a disclaimer, waiver, and consent. So this is something that we put in place, and we have to acknowledge it. The information presented in the program, the health education and nutrition and the cooking classes by Advocates for Community Wellness and its partners is intended for educational purposes only. It is not intended to replace the advice of your medical doctor or other healthcare providers with whom you consult. Our instructors are trained in teaching the classes, and we are grateful for that. We're recording all of the Zoom sessions. They are recorded by participating in the Zoom meeting. And I give permission to film, photography, video, and audio recording being made of me with respect to my participation in this class. Upon joining the meeting, all participants, videos, and audio are turned off for your privacy. You can turn them on at your discretion. Topics and learning objectives. All right, healthy families equal healthy communities. Good health starts with what is on your plate. Now, this fruit looks really good. All right, so today we are presenting to the stage Sugar by Other Names. Today is Thursday, July the 14th, 2022. And then next Thursday, we're going to highlight just the facts. That's Thursday, July the 21st. And then our final session for the month of July is what is the big deal with salt? And that is going to be featured on July 28th. Join us. You do not want to miss these series. They're good for us, good for me as well. All right. ABSOL Delicious Eat Well, Better Health. Today we are making homemade pizza, which Chicago is so well known of. We make the pizzas in Chicago. We have pizza places, so many places. And so we have a chef. She's going to come with her experience, and she is going to put together a couple pizzas for us. And that's Chef Karen Crawford Moore. And then behind her, we have Dr. Happy. We're going to drop a video, a recap of a video with him, with health initiatives and the impact of sugar. And then I'm bringing up the rear, Shirley Mims, for mealtime discussions, and we're going to talk about sugar by other names. So hang around. Here is my favorite part. Chef Karen, our featured chef for today, and she's going to do a great piece for us, a family affair. Pizza. Chicago's known for that. Here's a little bit about her background. More than 20 years, Karen has worked in the culinary industry. She is the founder and owner of TLC Personal Chefing. She is an instructor at Robert Morris College Institute of Culinary Arts prior to COVID-19. She taught various group community cooking classes from ages 4 to adulthood. Over the past 10 years, Karen has served in-home clients with special dietary needs and regimens. Karen specializes in bringing the restaurant experience into the people's homes. What a great background. We love you, Karen. Take it away.
Okay, there I am. Okay. So what I did was I prepared a sauce. It's really simple to do. It's maybe 6 or 7 ingredients. So I used olive oil, some fresh ground, freshly minced garlic, and I just sweated that just a little bit for a minute or two, and then I added crushed tomatoes, tomato paste, Italian seasoning, a little sugar, and a little crushed red pepper for kick. But of course, you could adjust that according to your taste, and then just a pinch of salt and a bay leaf. But so maybe you've gone to the store and looked to purchase the pre-made pizza sauce and they didn't have it. You know, our supply chain issue continues. So it's pretty simple to do on your own. And if you're interested in seeing the step-by-step directions, you can go to my Facebook page, TLC Cooks, TLCCOOKS, and I will be posting that right after our session here today. So that's our sauce. And again, you can also just purchase a prepared sauce. So, and I would just like to hear some feedback because we're from Chicagoland, most of us, and we take our pizza pretty seriously. How many of you like thin crust versus maybe a thicker crust or a pan pizza?
I like thin crust.
I like thin crust too. I like thin crust too. I don't like a whole lot of dough.
No preference. No preference.
No preference. It's all good for you, Share more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of thin crust people on here. I'm seeing it on the chat. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of a Chicago thing.
Right.
New York tends to make a thicker crust, like, you know, thick. So here's what I did, and there's a lot of different options you can go with for your crust. So this has been around for like forever, but this is the Pillsbury pizza crust, and it's already, the dough is already made, and it's just like a biscuit dough. In fact, it's in the refrigerated section right next to the biscuits. And so you just pop open the can and you roll it out, and you could even roll it out. If I had had more time, I would have rolled it out a little thinner, but you can get it to the thickness or thinness that you want and put it on a greased baking sheet like I did here. So I think Bobbly, which is a shelf-stable product, so we know it probably has more preservatives and additives in it. So, and I just like fresh baked everything. And then this is another alternative. This is whole wheat pita bread.
Okay.
This is Joseph's heart-friendly whole wheat pita bread. And what I like about it, I've never bought this before, but it's not terribly thick. So it's kind of thin. It kind of lends itself to the consistency of a pizza crust. You can also try to get cauliflower crust. So those people who are allergic to gluten, or they're just trying to cut back on their carbs, there's also cauliflower frozen crust that you can purchase. So that is
very good to know.
It's cauliflower, CAULI power. And there's a couple of brands out there, but cauliflower is pretty popular. It's so popular that they were out of it when I ordered yesterday.
Wow.
So that's another alternative. And I think there's also some other frozen options out there as well. So lots of options in terms of a base. Let's get started. So I'm going to start building my pizza. So and this sauce, if you make your own sauce, and this makes like 3 cups. So if you don't use it all, you can also freeze it, put it in jars and freeze it for later. So then the next time you do it, it's even less work. So I'm just putting a layer of my fresh tomato sauce. It really smells good. I love the smell. I love Italian food, period. I'm more of a pasta person than a pizza. My husband's he's the pizza aficionado, pizza addict, I would say. But if I let him, we would have pizza every week. So that's my side. And then I'm also gonna top this one. I'm gonna leave like just a little bit of an edge, so it doesn't drip over. So a little bit of a perimeter of just blank, plain crust. Maybe like say 1/4 of an inch around the edge. Okay. And then here's the fun part. So I think this is just really a fun thing for a family, especially with young children, to do. And we used to do this, but everybody's grown now, so we haven't done that in a while. But here I have some of our favorites. This is chopped spinach, and this is just spinach out of the freezer that's been chopped, and I just let it thaw overnight, and then I squoze out the the excess juice over a strainer. So I used a strainer like this and just press down on it and to get it nice and dry. So I'm starting with some spinach.
So she had just added the sauce, and then what's the yellow stuff? I see the mushroom, and then there's spinach.
This is yellow bell pepper.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yellow bell pepper. I had frozen chopped spinach. This is button mushrooms that I just chopped up. And these are black olives.
Oh, okay.
So, and then I also had this is actually tofurkey, plant-based Italian sausage.
Okay.
So I followed the directions. I didn't think I should like cook it. So I just sliced it up first and put it on a plate, and then I warmed it in the microwave for 30 seconds. And what else? Oh, and then the most important part, the cheese. So this is also plant-based. This is, believe it or not, Walmart has their own brand of plant-based cheese. So
wow.
The Great Value mozzarella style shreds.
Okay.
I'm gonna top my pizza. And oh, I forgot to say that I did pre-bake the crust. The Pillsbury crust, you do need to pre-bake it for about 8 minutes before you put your toppings on. Take it out, let it cool, and then add your toppings, and then put it back in the oven for another like 8 minutes.
Karen, do you ever
Chef
mix? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Can you do this on a grill? I got a black club party coming up, and I'm trying to think of creative ways to feed these people. So, like, you pre-bake the crust. Can I pre-bake the crust on a grill, then cool it, and then put my toppings on and put it back on the grill? Oh, don't yum yum.
I'm having a little problem, a little difficulty with my audio. I'm gonna move. Can you repeat the question?
Can you do this on a grill? I'm having a blackwood party and I'm trying to think of creative dishes to serve. And I'm thinking, oh, we could do some pizza on the grill. So can you pre-bake the crust on the grill, cool it, and then put it back on with the other ingredients?
I have never done it. So I know if you have a stone, perhaps that might it might work with a sheet pan, but I'm pretty sure if you have a pizza stone, you could do it. But I'm not 100% certain about that one. I don't like to speak on things I haven't done personally.
This is Dale. You can do that. And especially if you use like pita bread, because sometimes we preheat and toast the bread and then put the ingredients and put it in the toaster oven. So the answer is yes. The only thing too I would do is try to use a little covering over it, like another aluminum pan. So you said on a grill, correct? Johnny?
Correct. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's on the grill. I'm sorry. So grill, the heat is going up, but if you cover it like with an aluminum pan or something, so the heat sort of like is a convection, and it'll cook it faster because all you're really doing is just toasting and warming the vegetables. And I have done it, so I can speak for that.
All right, great. Thank you, Dale. Well, maybe we'll try that this summer. We've done everything else on the grill, but we haven't done that yet. So great. All right. Were there any other questions?
I had one. This is Shirley. Do you ever put any other cheese on there other than the yellow cheese, like the sharp? Do you ever mix that with the sort of the cheese that you have on there? Have you ever done that?
I've done like other Italian cheeses, like maybe Parmesan or Fontina, or maybe Romano, something in that vein.
Okay.
Yeah. Or now I know there's some places that use goat cheese.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's, it really is, I mean,
Your preference.
infinite number of variations you could do with your pizza. And I'd
Yeah.
love to hear if anybody, you know, would like to share like their go-to toppings, their favorite toppings, something unusual. We almost always use bell pepper, some type of bell pepper, red, yellow, green, and mushrooms. Those
Okay.
are two of our go-to toppings. Sometimes spinach.
Okay.
So,
All
and
right.
I also like, there's a restaurant in our area that has the roasted peppers as an
Yes.
option.
Okay.
That's a great topping too.
And that was my question. Do you pre-cook any of the vegetables before you put it on the pizza? Or like the bell peppers, are they on raw? Do you put them on
So
raw?
that's a matter of personal preference. So you can do it either way. I would just say if you're going to use raw, just maybe cut up like I did. Everything, all the toppings I used today were raw. So for example, the bell pepper, you see, I didn't cut it into strips. I just cut it into small dice. And the same with the mushrooms. But if you prefer to have them sauteed first, you could certainly do that.
Okay.
This is Dale. I always saute my mushrooms, and not 100% because they're going to cook to it in the oven, but I don't know, they just taste a little bit better, and I season in it, but I have a tendency to cook my mushroom, and that's the only one that I pre-cook. Uh, the other
Mhm.
one, I like a little crunch to my
Yeah.
pizza. And you asked
So
me
do I.
anything unusual? The only thing, well, I've seen broccoli on pizza, but
Yeah.
you just have to cut it real thin. But I also like a little sweetness on it, and sometimes I'll use some pineapple.
Oh, yes.
Especially if there's one is called a Hawaiian pizza, which is chicken and pineapple,
Mm.
instead of the other meat toppings.
Okay, great. Thank you. So now I'm going to pop this in the oven, and this is at 400 degrees. And through the magic of Zoom, I'm going to show you the finished product, which I prepared earlier, which is pretty much the same. This has the spinach, the bell pepper, the mushrooms. This is, I call this the adult pizza because I got all the things the kids might have an objection to.
What kind of things do you think the kids will like besides cheese? Because I know they want cheese.
Right. Yeah.
Pepperoni.
It really, and I think it really is just kind of a matter of introduction, how early you introduce them. I think the spinach, I mean, even like you could take the spinach, the chopped spinach, or even finely chopped broccoli and add that to your sauce so that it's in there, but they aren't really going to notice that it's in there. And I know bell pepper, maybe. Mushrooms, I think are a hard kind of a hard sell with a lot of kids.
That's the one you can put in the sauce.
And
Puree
you know
it in the sauce.
that is
The mushroom.
that's a great idea. Disguise it. That's what I'm talking about.
hmm
They don't
The
even know
mushrooms.
that
Yeah.
eating healthy.
I was
Right.
Karen and I, we recently did a kids class for pizza, and we know the end results of those pizzas. We had all the vegetables, and we one thing you can do is provide a vegetable challenge. to see how many vegetables they would put on their pizza, and maybe have a prize for them. You know, as to get them to try, and even if it was like one leaf of spinach. But the bottom line, the takeaway was the sauce, the cheese, and we did have some pepperoni, but we had other toppings as well.
Yeah, we
But
had some of the same. I know we had the mushrooms, we had the spinach. I believe we had bell pepper. We had fresh tomato, I think,
mhm.
Yeah, that's real good.
and we
Yeah,
had
they
the
have to build their
pineapple.
own. Yeah. Okay.
So that might be well, that's not a vegetable, it's a fruit. So
Mhm.
that would probably be an easy topping for the
Topping.
kids to tolerate or try.
Yeah, my 3-year-old makes pizza with his mom, and he loves the cheese and he loves the spinach. He loves the idea of the vegetables, but when it's all done, he picks around it. So the cheese and the sauce. Yeah,
Mhm.
but he loves the idea of vegetables, grandma, vegetables. So he loves the idea of that. So it's a good idea to incorporate all the vegetables in that sauce,
Mhm.
and
Right.
then and then add the cheese. So that was a good
Right,
Yeah,
takeaway.
that's a good idea.
Yeah,
right. Because a lot of kids, all they want is cheese. They just want sauce and cheese.
right, right.
But
What you
also, I think if they're part of the process, to your point, if they're part of
Mhm.
the process and making it, they'd be perhaps a little more inclined to try it because it's like, oh, this is something I made, so
Attention.
you know.
Yes, yeah.
Um,
would you pre-grill the pineapple? Would you grill it in advance before putting it on? Because pineapple is quite
you sure?
fibrous.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've done pineapple on the grill. I haven't done pineapple on the grill and put it on my pizza, but sure, why not? It's all a matter of personal preference, really. I think. I don't think there's really a wrong topping, cooked or uncooked, grilled or ungrilled. I know some people put, like grilled chicken strips or something like that. So yeah, why not?
Okay, chef, everything looks really good. Can we see the finished product of the one that you did put in the oven? I know the others are still in there. It looks really nice, and I really like the way that crust came out. I am going to try that. It
Mm-hmm.
looks really good. Good job. Wow. I've got to design something where we can get a taste of what you cook through this computer. That's all I got to say. All right. All right, chef. We appreciate
Thank you.
you and thank you. All right. We're going to ease on down the road now. How beautiful was that? Very nice. Very nice. All right. We thank Karen Crawford, our chef. There's the recipe for everyone and we will send this out to you as well. And I learned a lot today about pizzas. I'm just surprised that the kids didn't want hot dogs on there, but I know that's over the top, but all right. So next in line, we have our guest speaker, Dr. Hapi, and we are going to drop him through video, and then he will be here to join us with any questions you may have. All right, Cherie, take it away.
Guest speaker, Dr. Asar Hapi.
Thank you, Cherie. It is a pleasure to be amongst all of you all and to share with you all what I know about keeping the body well. And what we have to focus on is that as we get older, there are two areas that tend to break down the most. The first area is our structure tends to break down and we develop arthritis and all type of depleting conditions that allow us not to move as well and to have a lot of pain. And then we develop internal problems. When we look at cancer, be it of the breast or be it of the prostate, it is a condition that comes about partly because of what we're eating. And so what we have been educated on is that everything we eat is fine. But what we find is that in the marketplace, two products that they have in the marketplace the most that is in all the processed food is sugar. So every product that you look at that's packaged, bottled, or whatever, you should look on there. And if there's sugar, you should not be consuming it because there is such an accumulation of sugar that's in our bodies. Sugar is a very high acidic chemical. And being very high acidic, if we know anything about it, we know that when we are children and we eat a bunch of candy, we get cavities. So the cavity is because the sugar has broken down the enamel in our teeth and broken our teeth down. So the same thing it does to our bones, and then the same thing it does to our immune system, and then the same thing it does to our lungs, and the same thing it does to our bones. So what happens is that the sugar breaks us down because it is what we call acidic. Now, most of you all on here, because you're older in age, you didn't really get a chance to learn about acidity and alkalinity. But what we're finding out now is that more younger people know about acidity and alkalinity. If you ask the average young person, have they heard of alkaline water? The average young person would have heard about it. If we ask any of you all, have you heard about alkaline water? Some of you all would say yes, but then if I say, do you drink it? You might say, I drink tap water. You might say, I drink bottled water. But the bottled water has a certain pH to it, just like the drinking water has a certain pH. And when we look at cancer, we say cancer comes about because your pH in your blood becomes too low. The pH in your urine becomes too low. When there's a very low pH, microbes or infection sets up. It could set up in your breast, it could set up in your prostate, it could set up in your bones, it could set up in your other organs. So we break down because acid is really our problem. So you all might not know this, but the death certificate on a person that dies of cancer, it is not listed as cancer that killed them. It is listed as metabolic acidosis, which means you receive too much acid in your body. You consume too much acid. So we say, well, what else has a lot of acid besides sugar? Well, what has acid besides sugar is meats. Meats have a lot of acid. Now, there's two types of acid that meats have. They have a uric acid, which is what gives your bones the arthritis, or what we say the inflammation. Inflammation is a swelling. Inflammation is a pain. Inflammation is a redness. Inflammation is what happens when you get too much acid in the body. And so acid comes from sugar. Acid comes from meat. Acid comes from cheese. So if I ask you, and acid comes from a lot of flour. So if I ask you, what do you eat? You might say, well, for breakfast, Dr. Happy, I have bacon and eggs and potatoes. And I say, well, what is that? You telling me I have acid with some more acid and some more acid. And then I say, well, what do you have for lunch? You say, well, I have some potatoes and some bread. And then I have some meat. I say, okay, well, for lunch, you had some more acid and some more acid and some more acid. You say, well, I said, well, what did you have for dinner? You say, well, I had some meat and I had some bread and I had some potatoes and I had some vegetables. I said, well, what vegetables did you have? Well, I had a side dish. I had a side dish of some string bean. Well, I had a side dish of some carrots. So I had a side dish of some potatoes. So what you tell me is that I have a high accumulation of acid. That's what you're telling me. So I say, well, what could you possibly eat that is less acidic? Well, let's look at that. What you could eat is more vegetables. You always hear them talk about in the Cancer Society that we should eat 5 fruits and 5 vegetables a day. So I ask any of you all, do you eat 5 fruits or 5 vegetables a day? Perhaps not. And then if you eat the 5 fruits, well, how do you consume it? You might say, well, I buy some bottled peaches at the store, some canned peaches. But what is in there? Well, what is in there would be corn syrup. And corn syrup is like the sugar. It breaks the body down because it's too acidic. And so what you're hearing about now as you observe in our society, you're hearing more about people eating more vegetables. You're hearing more about people growing their food, growing more produce. You're hearing about more farmer markets coming up where fresh produce is brought to the market. They talk about the food desert that we have in our communities. The food deserts mean we don't have the stores that have more of the produce. So if I say, well, where do you all shop? You say, I shop at Save-A-Lot. I shop at Aldi's. I shop at Jewel's. I say, well, do you ever shop at Pete's? Do you ever get organic vegetables and fruits? Do you know about organic vegetables and fruits? Because another thing that can cause cancer is chemicals on our food. So when they grow the food, if they put a lot of pesticides, which are chemicals to keep the microbes, the insects at bay and the microbes, then the chemicals are not good for us. So I say, well, how often do you eat organic food? How often do you eat food that you know there's no chemicals sprayed on it? You might say, I eat conventional vegetables, conventional fruits. You're telling me I eat a bunch of chemicals. I eat a bunch of fertilizer, a bunch of chemicals. Well, then we have to read on what is being put on the food that could cause us the cancer. Then I say, do you eat foods that have coloration, dye coloration? I drink some red drinks and I drink some blue drinks. Well, what is in there? What made it red? What made it blue? Well, a lot of times when you drink flavored drinks, they put chemicals, dyes in the drink to change the color. And they found that certain dyes help to create cancer. But if you're not being exposed to this information, if all you're doing is eating this food and then going to see your doctor, and then the doctor say, oh, I got bad news for you. You got cancer of the breast. I got bad news for you. You got cancer of the prostate. Well, what do I need to fix that? Well, we're going to put you on some chemotherapy. Well, how toxic is that? Well, it can be kind of toxic, and you might get sick from it, and you might lose your hair, and you might have you can't digest, or you can't hold your food down because now you're consuming some more chemicals from the chemo. Then, because they call it chemo because it's chemicals, chemotherapy. Then they say, okay, well, we give you some radiation. Well, what do radiation do? Radiation burns. I know of a cousin of mine. She had got cancer in her jaw. And they say, we just need to give you some radiation therapy, and then your jaw will be okay, because she had a swelling in her jaw. Well, they gave her the radiation therapy. It burnt her face up. And then they cut her jaw open where the tumor was, and she could never eat again. She had to drink through a straw. She was drooling all the time because she couldn't hold her saliva in her mouth, and she died in 6 months. So what I'm saying, you are the advocate of your own health. To be the advocate of your own health, you have to become educated. You have to become informed. You have to know more than what the average person knows. I was supposed to die over 23 years ago because I developed a condition when I was 20 called sarcoidosis. This condition is a condition in which you lose your lungs. And when I went to see the doctor said, I have bad news for you. You have an incurable disease, and you will die between 30 and 50 years old of lung cancer. And so we have to, there's nothing to save you. We have one medication called prednisone. You can't take it all the time, but you will be able to take it at times when your lungs are inflamed, and you will die by 50. So I found out that I need to know more than what that doctor was telling me. So that's what took me on this journey that I'm telling you all about now. And that journey took me into becoming a doctor, because I wanted to know how to first live longer. I wanted to know how to first be able to breathe better as I got older, and I wanted to learn how to cure myself. So I changed my diet. I stopped eating the sugar. I stopped eating the meats. I stopped eating the chemicals in the food. and I became a vegan, a vegetarian. I started eating from the garden. Now, the foods they call that you eat from the garden, they call it alkaline, just like the alkaline water. So if you're eating alkaline water and you're drinking alkaline foods and you're eliminating the chemicals that's sprayed on the foods, you're eliminating the acid that's in foods like in the meats and in the cheese and in the and in the sugars, because I don't eat all those processed foods. I look at everything I put in the body. If I go somewhere, I say, do you put sugar in your food? I don't want any. And so I am an advocate of my body. I am a guardian of what goes in it. And guess what? I did not die at 50. I am now 73. I breathe better than when I was 20. I can outbreathe athletes like LeBron James without running up and down the floor. And on top of all of that, I don't have the sarcoidosis. A person that all of you all might know, his name was Bernie Mac. He was a comedian, made a lot of money, but at the same time, he didn't go to seek out further than what the doctors were telling him. Well, he did die at 50. He died in Northwestern Hospital, one of the top hospitals in this country, one of the top in the city or outside of the city. Well, the hospital itself is right downtown in the Gold Coast area. He died of 2 pneumonias. Plus, he got MRSA, which is a bacteria that's running around in the hospital that you can get. So what I'm telling you all must become advocates. Now, the last thing I'm going to share with you is that there are herbs that can cure the cancer of the breast and of the prostate. You have to know about those herbs. And if you learn about those herbs and change your diet, you can be saved. But let's go a step further. How about prevention? How about we learn how to eat correctly so we don't even create the problems in the first place? I've worked with a lot of people that have cancer of the prostate, cancer of the breast. I've worked with a lot of people who have had arthritis, a lot of people who've had diabetes, a lot of people who had heart trouble. Let me tell you this last story. I had a patient who had to be on dialysis. He was 90 years old, a bishop in California, San Diego. He called me one day because this was like on a Wednesday and his numbers were going up. The doctor told him, we got to put you on dialysis. His wife, who's a lawyer at 70 years old, she called me. She said, Dr. Happy, they want to put my husband on dialysis. I said, well, first of all, stop eating the flour and stop eating the sugar. And second of all, I'm going to send you some herbs to help bring those numbers down so you don't have to be put on dialysis. That was on a Wednesday. By Monday, the numbers was down. He didn't have to be put on dialysis. He was 90. He lived 5 years longer. And he died because he had went and got the vaccination and had a reaction to the vaccination, had to go into the ICU. And while he was in the ICU, they did not raise the rails up on the bed. He fell out the bed and broke his neck. That's how he died. He didn't die from his body breaking down. Now, what I'm telling you all must catch up. You must become like the young people who have learned about the alkaline water. You must drink the alkaline water. I have an alkaline water machine on my sink. I have an alkaline water machine on every floor that my building is upon. There's 3 floors to my building, and I have a machine on every floor. I can go and drink the alkaline water right out of the machine from the tap. It changes the water to alkaline water, and here's the best part of it. Alkaline water flushes the acid out of your body. Well, where's the acid come from? Well, it's coming from the meats you eat. It's coming from the sugar in all the products that you buy that you don't read the label that there's sugar, usually one of the first ingredients in there. It comes from the cheese. Well, what else is in the cheese? Well, cheese is made from bacteria. And bacteria cause infection. Well, how we know? You eat enough cheese, you're going to get a cold. You're going to get congestion from the cheese. It's going to slow up your circulation to your heart. It's going to create cholesterol in your body. Well, are we taking cholesterol medication? I'm sure a bunch of you all are taking cholesterol medication. Why is that? Because you're eating the cheese that has the cholesterol in there. So it's giving you the problem, and you go see the doctor. You say, doctor, the doctor tells you, he says, your cholesterol is up. We got to give you some stanton. We got to give you this drug to bring it down. He says, is there anything I can do to bring the cholesterol down? No, there's nothing you can do. Do I need to change what I'm eating? Oh, just eat whatever you want to. Well, if the hospital is a system that is in business, and business is supposed to make money for their investors, then guess what? You are the product. You're not the product, but you're the customer. And when you start understanding that in the health system, you're the customer, you will take a more direct in personal involvement with your health to say, I don't want to be the customer that becomes the victim. I want to be the customer that I become very knowledgeable how to take care of this body so that this body becomes very preventable, so that my health becomes very preventable, that I can live a super long life and have a great, wonderful, healthy life without all the suffering and without all the burdens of taking care of this body and running it to the hospital and running it to the doctors every week with complaints of pain that comes from eating the same stuff I told you, the sugar, just try it. Just stay off sugar. Stop eating the processed foods. Start eating from the garden. Start eating the vegetables, the salads from the garden. Stop eating all the dairy and the cheese. Stop it for a month and see how much better you feel. So my time has now ran out, but I could go on further, but let's just heed this one last word. The most dangerous word you will know is maybe the pain will go away. Well, it won't go away unless you stop what's creating the pain. And to do that, you must become knowledgeable. Now, the last thing I'm gonna leave is my number. My number, if you all have a pen, my number is 312-804-6785. I'm gonna leave it again. 312-804-6785. My email address is A for apple, N for natural, H for happy,
Okay.
ANH,
Okay.
1821
Next Thursday,
at gmail.com.
So it's our mealtime discussion and sugars by other names. And I'm just going to do a brief form of this. And I am just going to move forward. Okay, so the theme today was healthy families equal healthy communities. And so we eat a lot of sugar, more than most of us really realize. And while we know to limit sweet treats like candy and ice cream, and sugar is also hidden in some surprising foods like bread, almond milk, and even salad dressings. Even in salad dressings, there's sugar because some of them are pretty sweet. And so that's what's in there. And that's because there are so many names for sugar, some you might not even recognize as sugar. Yes, sugar hides in plain view. It may be called something other than sugar: cane sugar, sucrose, glucose, agave, nutar, high fructose, cornstarch with syrup, which he said something about that. But sugar is sugar, no matter how you spell it. There are more than 60 different names for sugar. How can you cut back on sugar if you didn't even realize it on a nutritional label? Because the nutrition labels will show you the amount of sugar that's in that item that you're going to purchase. All right. The dietary guidelines for Americans recommends we consume no more than 10% of our dairy calories from added sugar. And the American Heart Association recommends limited added sugar intake to less than 6 teaspoons, 25 grams per day for a woman, and less than 9 teaspoons, 36 grams per day for a man. So there are many names for sugar, which can be difficult to cut added sugar from your diet because most of the times we don't even know what they are. A few of the names is agave juice, beet sugar. Well, that does say sugar. All right, we got rice syrup. I've never heard of that. We got caramel, coconut sugar. That says sugar. Perfectioner's sugar. That says sugar. So there's sugar in it. We have powdered sugar. We have starch sweeteners. We have yellow sugar. We have undefined sugar. Some familiar names that is hidden in our foods and we consume are barbecue sauces, even the ketchup, and then even spaghetti sauce has it, and they all contain sugar. Even healthy foods like fruit juice and yogurt contain amounts of sugar that can be dangerous, especially for those that are diabetics. Okay. All right, so carbohydrates and carbs primarily of sugar consist primarily of sugar, starch, and dietary fiber, along with proteins and fats. Carbohydrates are one of the three main nutrients found in foods and drinks. Our bodies break down carbohydrates into glucose. Glucose or blood sugar is the main source of energy for our body's cells, tissues, and organs. Okay, how many carbohydrates do you need? Well, the dietary guidelines for Americans recommend that carbohydrates make up 45% to 65% of total daily calories. Okay, so like I said, you can find the contents in your packaged foods on the nutrition food label. And in my closing, I would say to you, choose your carbohydrates wisely. Here's how to make healthy carbohydrates work in a balanced diet. Focus on eating fiber, rich fruits and vegetables. Choose whole grain. Stick to a low-fat dairy product and eat more beans, peas, and lentils. Limit added sugar. And the added sugar is the stuff that we put in our coffees to give it a better taste, or we might say this doesn't really taste like it, and then we add the sugar. So my time is up, and I thank you for yours. All right, we are in the process. This is the Well Woman's Wellness Program, promotion program, and these are some of the events that are coming into place and being put into place. If you are a woman between the ages of 18 to 44 and live in any of these zip codes, we welcome you to complete the survey. So the zip codes are 60620, 60621, 60628. And we do thank you for your time. If you could do that, we appreciate it. It's online. All right.
I'll bring up the survey with the QR code later during the after talk in case anyone wants to do that.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. So along the journey is a breast cancer awareness and survival support program that we have put in place. It's going to host number two, and begins in September of 2022. This information is online, and it's for African Americans living in Chicago's Auburn, Gresham, Inglewood, and Roseland communities and surrounding neighborhoods. So this is something good to know. And if you know of someone, we would ask that you let them know about this. All right, so join us for the next Eat Well event, and that's going to be July the 21st. We always do it the last 3 Thursdays of each month. And so next Thursday is going to be just the fats. Interesting. And then July the 28th, what is the big deal with salt? Okay, so we're going to be bringing those topics to the table. And I'm sure it's great information, and it's information that we really need, because good health starts with what we put on our plates. So now we're asking that you stay connected with us on our website, www.a4cw.org. We have our email, which is info@a4cw.org. And we have our Chicago address and our phone number. If you would like to call and give us your comment, and we would really appreciate it. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and then we have a group, Eat Well Cooking Club for Better Health. So we are trying to stay connected to you, and you can stay connected to us. All right. So now we always have a closing prayer, and we thank God for that. I pray that you always remind me of who you are. and what you can do. You are bigger than all of my problems or worries. You provide me the perfect example of strength in the midst of extreme adversity. Give my family and community your strength to come together as a family and community should. Provide comfort for each of us and help us to also comfort one another. Everyone say amen. Amen. God bless. All right. So now this is the ABSOL Eat Well, Better Health, and we want to thank you for joining us today. It has been a pleasure, and it's been a good day for a good day.